Hello, my name is Omar. I am a chef, one of the few that had a Michelin star in Europe. Thanks for having me on this MasterChef class for Saudi Arabia. What we're gonna do is a very traditional dish called pozole. So pozole has Aztec origins. It's one of the soups that we actually do for celebrations in Mexico, and it was thought that it was made from human meat, but that's probably not the case. There's some accounts that say there are, some accounts that that say that it's not. But regardless of that, I think this is one of the main dishes that we use in celebrations, from parties to after parties, from weddings, and funny enough, also was used in funerals. But as you know, we have a very festive view of the dead. So this version that I'm gonna make it with veal. So this is completely halal friendly. So we're gonna use a couple of ingredients that we were going to share with you. Um, Basically, what we're gonna use is veal, which we have here, and I'm gonna cut it. The main chilies that we're using are so ancho chili and guajillo chili. We're gonna use cacahuacintle corn, which I will explain after. It's a special corn that it's used for pozole only, so it's a long grain corn, and which actually gives the name to the dish. So the corn before was soaked in a lime and water solution. So when you boil it, it starts to froth, and that froth became look like a foam, and that's why pozole name came from. So pozole means in Aztec or in Navajo foam. So that's why it means. This dish was given to the god Hipetotec, which was the god of fertility. And but let's start. Okay, so we have the veal here. This veal is veal shoulder. It can be veal shoulder or shin. This is replacing. You can use chicken as well for a halal friendly version. Traditionally we use pork, but as I said, we're using this piece of veal. So this is the veal shoulder. It's already boned. So we took out the bone, and this is about 2 kilos of meat. Okay. So the only things that you have to do with this piece of meat is we're just going to cut it in big chunks. So just big chunks like this. Why big chunks? Because if you put small chunks, they're gonna just break completely while you're cooking it. So you want that kind of pieces of meat in your soup. So big chunks about this size. Now you need to use these cuts that are good for braising. As I said, we can use also chicken and make the broth with chicken and start the key ingredient on this is the broth. So your meat needs to be nice. This meat is organic, is local. It's local from the UK where I'm filming. And that's it. That's what you need to in your meat. Okay, so this meat is gonna go directly into a pot like this. So now for the broth, what we're gonna use apart from the meat is we're gonna need some onions. So just one large head of onion will suffice, and you don't really need to chop it. The only thing you need to do is just peel it. So just cut it in big chunks. And we add it to the broth. And 1 head of garlic. The garlic also completely dissolves when it's boiling. We're gonna boil this for about 3 hours. The garlic completely dissolves into it and becomes a paste that it's gonna add flavor to your broth. So I like to peel them. So now we have the head of garlic. We're not gonna use it all. We're gonna use some of the garlic. I mentioned 1 head of garlic in the recipe. The head of garlic was going to go with the corn. However, I got the corn that I will show after, but the corn that I will have, which is it's already bucked in and it's already boiled in. That's the only one I could get in here in the UK. So I don't have to boil it. Usually you boil the raw corn with the lime and then you add the head of garlic there. However, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna distribute that head of garlic into the meat and into the sauce as well. As I mentioned before, this is the garlic. So as I mentioned before, This will take about 1 hour per kilo of meat. We have 2 kilos of meat here, so it will be 2 hours. If you really want it really soft, like melt in your mouth, then you can probably extend it to 3 hours. But that's what it will take. Usually take 1 hour per kilo. So we have the broth. We're gonna add the water. Again, this is what really gives the flavor. We're gonna add a little bit of salt, and we're just gonna let it boil. Now we're gonna toast the chilies. So we're just gonna slightly toast them whole like that. Okay. So this is the guajillo chilies. You need 100 grams of these chilies hydrated. So that is a bit. That's probably 50 grams of them raw, like not hydrated. Once they hydrate, they absorb all the water. They double the volume, so usually you will need half the volume of that. So in my recipe says 100 grams of chilies, but that's once they are hydrated. So we're just gonna put them there, let them toast. First we're gonna do the guajillo chilies, and then we're gonna do the ancho chilies. So the guajillo chilies are just smoked reddish color chilies, and we can soak them together, that's fine. So once they are slightly toasted and they start getting just some little brown colors, then and start the smoke coming out, then just take them out. They will start expanding. So then we'll just take them out and add it to a pot. We will do the same with the ancho chilies. So the ancho chilies are basically dried poblano chilies. So it's the same chili. So that's why it's just, you see it has the same shape of the poblano. So it's just dehydrated, sun-dried poblano chilies. Do this on a place where it has a lot of air because the chili smoke can be quite intense. So once you have them toasted, just add them. Okay, the next step is we are gonna add some water in there. You can either do this two ways. You can add boiling water to this, or as I'm gonna do, just add water and then bring it to a boil. I also suggest to add just a touch of vinegar. The vinegar will help it soften, and it will be slightly tanginess to this. Do not discard the water that is in there. The water is very important. That water is going to give too much flavor to the broth, so we need to keep it. So once it's boiled, then we're going to take it out, and I'm going to show you how to clean them from the inside. Okay, so we have the chilies. So the chilies has been hydrated and softened. So now we have them here. We're just going to take them out. They're all soft. What we're going to do is we're going to clean the inside. What you do is you open them, okay, and then you remove, that's what we call the veins. So we remove these little bits here, as well as the seeds. You don't have to remove all the seeds, but most of the seeds. And then you have a clean, just the flesh of the actual chili. We'll do the same with the guajillo. So the guajillo, we can just do a small incision in the middle and then open it. And again, you can see this is the veins. So we just remove these veins. And we'll do the same with all the rest of them. So now we're gonna make the sauce base to go with the broth, and that will be our base to give the chili flavor and the seasoning. Now this is the moment where depends on the region, you will have a different kind of sauce. So in some places there's green pozole. In the coastal zones they add sardines. The green pozole is usually done in places like Guerrero, or some people even or some areas. Usually the center of Mexico, they like it white, and also northern Mexico, so they like it white. So depends on your family heritage, your area. Sure, likability of anything, any ingredient that you would like to add. But usually, the pozole varies from each region and from each family. So we're doing this version that is from Jalisco, which is the pozole rojo. So that's what we have now. The chili. So the chilies have been cleaned and deveined. Okay, and we have kept as well the liquid where we cook the chilies. We just have it ready to be blitzed. So we're gonna have that and the chilies. We're gonna add one onion, usually a large onion. This was medium onion, so I used 1.5 of them. Again, you don't need to completely chop them. It's just gonna be roughly chopped because you're gonna blitz it. Okay, and we're gonna also add just the rest of the garlic. We're gonna add the chilies. The garlic. The onions. And some of the water to cook the chilies. Now this is gonna go to the blitzer. So when you're blitzing something that is hot, please be sure that you remove the lid that you have in here and then just have a kitchen cloth, just put it on the top. Why? Because then that lets the steam come out and it's not gonna blow out in your face. So that's a very good tip. It's just a very smooth paste. Okay, so now we have the maíz pozolero or maíz cacahuacintle. It's just ready. When it's come in this presentation in a tin, it's already pre-cooked. So basically we just need to cook it for probably a further hour with the broth. So just whilst your meat is halfway cooking, you can add the corn here. So then it's just gonna be very soft and it's gonna add some flavor into this. So we'll just strain it and we're just gonna add it into this. Okay, now whilst this is cooking, we're gonna start to cook also our broth. This has been already cooked for about 2 hours with the corn. So we're just now gonna add it and gonna start the final stage of the pozole. We're gonna add some oil. So once that oil is hot, we're gonna add the salsa. We're gonna just let it cook it slightly and then we're gonna add the broth into this. Okay, so now once the sauce is fried, we're gonna add the broth. So the broth with the corn. Now some of the pieces have been broken, so I didn't cook them. The longer you cook it, obviously the meat is gonna break into pieces. However, if you want the meat to be in smaller portions, then I've drained it here, and then we're just gonna cut it slightly less, so you have just one bite each time you eat your meat. But you see, it just falls apart. It kept that little fat. That's what I like to use shoulder, because you have that fat that it's good and it's gonna give you that umami flavor. Now we just put it back. And we let it cook for about 15 to 20 minutes and that will be ready. Obviously the most you cook it, the thicker the broth will become. That's up to you, that's entirely up to you, but this will be ready to be served in about 15 to 20 minutes. So now the pozole is nothing without the garnishes. So we have all the garnishes that goes with here, which is radish, lemons, onions, oregano, chili. So these chili flakes are a mix of guajillo and chile de árbol. So the radish, we're just gonna slice them. The onions, we're just gonna chop them. The limes, so I'll have to cut them in quarters. We'll take just the inner bit in case this doesn't have any seeds, but in case it has, just take the inner bits. And finally the lettuce. So the last bit of garnish for this is the tostada. So I like to have my tostadas like just freshly fried with cream, and then just to accompany the whole thing. So just to make it a whole experience. So we have these tortillas. These are 10 centimeter tortillas. These are the taquero size, and we're just gonna fry them. Now these are white corn tortillas, but as I'm gonna show you later, we can use either white corn or blue corn or any tortillas that you prefer. And as I said, the size is entirely up to you. So you just let them on a really hot oil. It will take about a minute or so. So now the pozole is ready. The meat is really tender and soft. The corn has just popped out. So you can see the grains all popped out. So now it's just ready to enjoy. So let's just serve it. And now it comes to the accompaniment. So this is up to your personal preference. So whatever you would like to add. If you don't like onions, don't add onions. If you don't like radish, don't add radish. It's up to you how you want to personalize it with yourself. So traditionally we use some lettuce, onion, a couple of radishes. I like to have it a little bit more spicy, so a touch of chili, a touch of oregano, a squeeze of lime. I like to serve it with the tostadas, just spread a little bit with the cream. And here you go. So this is your pozole. We've seen how to serve the traditional way, the pozole. Now I'm gonna show you another way where we can serve it. I believe that tradition shouldn't be against modernity. In order to sell and take out the stereotypes of the burritos and Tex-Mex food, burritos, quesadillas, street food and Tex-Mex food that actually people in foreign countries think we can showcase our food in a different way as well. There's nothing wrong with the traditional plate of pozole, but we can also show it on a probably nicer way for your friends, to just impress your friends or impress some guests. So here we go, we're gonna do it. I've done a puree with the cacao simple, the pozolero corn. Then just spread it slightly, okay? Then we're gonna distribute evenly. This is the meat. This is taken out from this beautiful broth. So this is the meat that we just recently fished out from the pozole. So we're just gonna put some of these things completely spread the corn. We're gonna use completely the same garnishes. So we're gonna have the lettuce, the radishes. Again, just have fun with it. Serve it as you want. I'm using spring onions here instead of the other onions, just to give it a little bit more texture. And I have fried the tostadas on a small julienne. I'm gonna add a touch of the cream on this side, a little bit of oregano. You sprinkle a little bit of oregano too there. And I'm using a matcha sauce, which is basically just chiles reheated at 70 degrees very slowly. You reheat your oil, bring it up to 70 degrees, put it on the side, and then add the chilies, the same chilies that we had. As I mentioned before, I would like to use guajillo chili and arbol chili. And we're just gonna use mainly the oil. We're gonna serve a little bit of the broth. And here you go. That's the same version of pozole using the same ingredients, just presented on a different way. So thank you for spending the time with me cooking this red pozole. I hope you enjoyed it. Just try it, be brave and do it. You can do it with different items, just like as I mentioned, like chicken or even lobster. So just try sardines. So just try to do it your own version, personalize it yourself, and enjoy it while you're cooking. This is one of the biggest staples of Mexican kitchen, and it's just made for celebration. So make a party, bring your friends, and then do it. So let me know if you have any questions. We're gonna follow up this with some questions and answers. And thanks for your time.